Okay, let's dive right in. Picture this. It's January 30th, 2026. President Trump steps up to the podium, and boom, he makes an announcement that sends shockwaves rippling through the entire global economy. He's just named his pick to lead the most powerful central bank on the planet, the Federal Reserve.
And the president's praise, wow, it was immediate and super forceful. Talk about setting high stakes for your nominee right out of the gate. But that's the big question, right? Who is this guy, and can he possibly live up to that kind of expectation?
All right, so who is the man at the center of all this economic drama? Let's get to know Kevin Warsh. Now, this is a name that's been a big deal in the highest circles of finance and politics for decades. I mean, just look at this career path. It's like a highlight reel of being at the center of economic power. He was right in the thick of Wall Street's merger mania back in the 90s. Then, bam, he's in the White House. And get this, he gets appointed to the Fed right before the massive 2008 financial crisis hits. So this isn't just a resume, you know? It's more like a map showing he was in the room where it happened for some of the biggest economic calls of the last 30 years. And his academic credentials? I mean, come on. Stanford, Harvard Law, MIT. It just doesn't get better than that. But he's not just some academic in an ivory tower. Nope. During the 2008 crisis, he got a major het tip from the Fed chair at the time, Ben Bernanke, for his political and market savvy. And you know how Washington works. Connections are everything. Turns out, his father-in-law is a longtime friend of the president. So on paper, this guy looks like the perfect candidate. But is he?
Okay, but here's where the plot thickens. This nomination comes with a huge puzzle, a major contradiction in what he said publicly about monetary policy. And honestly, this is where the story gets really fascinating, because for years he was known as one thing, but lately, he sounds like something else entirely.
All right, so here's the core conflict, laid out side by side. In the past, he was a textbook hawk, the kind of guy who's always worried about inflation and wants to keep interest rates on the higher side. He was pretty skeptical of the Fed pumping stimulus into the economy. But lately, he's been sounding a lot more like a dove, someone who's all about growth and is way more open to cutting rates. He's even come out and said Trump is right to be publicly pushing the Fed for cuts. So the billion-dollar question that Wall Street is desperately trying to answer is, which Kevin Warsh are we actually going to get?
And get this, just last year, he made this really powerful statement, basically putting the blame for inflation squarely on the Fed's shoulders. He said it's a policy choice. That shows a really deep belief in just how much power and responsibility the Fed has. So what gives? Is this recent shift to wanting lower rates a genuine change of heart, a new economic philosophy, or is it just a smart political play to land the job? That's the puzzle.
Okay, so now let's shift gears to the political battlefield. Because believe me, this nomination isn't just about economics. Oh no, it is deeply political, and it's all built on a feud that's been simmering for years.
Yeah, this whole thing didn't just happen out of nowhere. It's really the climax of years of the White House publicly slamming the current Fed chair Jerome Powell. I mean, calling him a moron. It's been intense. So with Powell's term about to end and this DOJ inquiry hanging over his head, the stage was basically set for a massive shakeup. And all of this political pressure, it really strikes at the very core of what the Fed is supposed to be all about, its independence. See, for decades, the entire global financial system has been built on this one core idea, that the Fed makes its calls based on cold, hard data, not politics. The goal is long-term stability for the economy, not just a quick boost to get through the next election cycle. And that leads us to the big, flashing red light question that has everyone, economists, investors, politicians from both parties, really concerned. Is the Fed's independence actually at risk here? Is this whole nomination just a move to install a chair who will fall in line with the White House? And if so, what on earth would that mean for the economy?
So what happens now? Well, the nomination is just step one. Now comes the real fight, the confirmation battle in the Senate. And of course, we have to look at how the markets are reacting, and let me tell you, their reaction was fast.
And yeah, this is not going to be an easy path to confirmation. Not at all. You've got key senators, even Republicans like Tom Tillis, already drawing a line in the sand. They're vowing to block any nominee until this whole DOJ thing with Powell is sorted out. And get this, it's not about the nominee's qualifications. It's about protecting the Fed from what they see as straight-up political interference. So, how did the markets react? Instantly. We saw stocks dip, and at the same time, the US dollar got stronger. Now, why did that happen?
Well, it's because traders are placing their bets. And their bet is that despite all his recent dovish talk, the old hawkish Kevin Warsh is the one who's going to show up to the job. And that would mean fewer, slower rate cuts than they might have gotten from someone else.
Okay, so why should we care if the dollar gets stronger? Well, here's a look at the US dollar index. It's basically how we measured the dollar's strength against a whole basket of other major world currencies. And as you can see, it is hugely dominated by the euro. When the dollar flexes its muscles, it creates these massive ripple effects across global trade and finance. It's a really big deal.
And look, this isn't just some abstract thing for Wall Street traders to worry about. No way. The decisions made by the Fed chair hit you directly in your wallet. We're talking about the interest rate on your mortgage, your car loan, your credit cards, heck, even the price of that imported stuff you buy. It's all influenced by the one person sitting in this incredibly powerful chair.
So, we've looked at his impressive resume, the political drama, the instant market reaction. What's the big takeaway here? What's the one thing you really need to understand about all of this?
Ultimately, this entire debate, all the noise and the drama, it all boils down to one single, incredibly powerful question about the future of the Federal Reserve itself. Is the next Fed chair going to be a steady, independent hand, guiding the economy based on data? Or is the world's most important central bank about to become just another tool for short-term political games? The answer to that question is going to shape our economy for many, many years to come.